Let's do it, man. Yeah.
Cool. Hey guys, welcome to Saturday Night Cenobites. This is where I raise funds for the filmmakers and our favorite movie theaters in Jacksonville and in St. Augustine, which is the Sunray Cinema and the Corazon Cinema and Cafe. Tonight's guest is my pal Tim that I met in Jacksonville as part of the bar scene up there, the Jack's Bar film scene up there. And
hello.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going, man. It's going. It's a weird weekend. I can tell you that. Just what's going on in the world around us. It's a very weird weekend, but I'm doing okay, managing.
Indeed, it's been some scary times and
scary, painful, difficult stuff going on.
So. Indeed, man. But hopefully we all rebound from this, and it'll take a while, but definitely.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope this starts some change. I know it's starting some change the way I want to behave and act and think. So hopefully, just through what the people out there who are demonstrating are doing, we can get some real change. And then I hope also the people who, like myself, who experience some privilege, can step back and go, okay, well, what can I do to be a better advocate and a better ally? And I think, at least for me, that's kind of what really, I don't know why it's taking this long, and I apologize it's taking this long, but now I'm kind of like, okay, what I need to be better. I need to be a better ally, not just like nod and go, I agree. We cops shouldn't be killing, black people. I think there's more I can do than just agree. So I'm kind of figuring out that next process.
Indeed, man, our prayers go out to them for sure, and positive vibes.
Amen. Yeah, absolutely.
So Moses Von Holland is the name of your company.
Yes.
What inspired the name and the history?
No, it's a good question. So before we jumped on, we were talking a little bit about back in the day, me and some friends experimented with doing sketch comedy. And so Moses Von Holland was initially the name of our sketch comedy group. And when we were talking about forming the name, there wasn't really like a light bulb moment or a thing that occurred. We go, oh yeah, that we should be called that. It was much more of a deliberate, planned process. We kind of decided that we wanted the name of the group to be as much as possible a person, like the name of a person, kind of like a Jethro Tull kind of thing, or as I play with other bands that have Leonard Skinner. We wanted the entity, the group, to be a name so that we could build a mythology around that, and outside of that. So. It just was like we went to a coffee shop and brainstormed for a couple hours, and then I don't remember how we ended up with Moses Von Holland, but I think I really liked the idea of the word Holland being involved, and then we just evolved into that. So I wish there was a more like interesting story, but it was really just a brainstorming session with the central idea that we could build a mythology around the name of a person as our group. So it started with that. I started an LLC, then our sketch comedy group sort of disbanded because like most sketch comedy groups, they just weren't successful and we disbanded. But I had the LLC and I didn't really want to start another one. So I ended up, just paying the other guys who had contributed to building the LLC, bought it out from them, and started using it as my my production company, my business. So mostly it was just out of ease and not wanting to make another one is why my name is Moses Von Holland.
Indeed, it's all like full service too, which is like full production and story development and writing, filming services, motion graphics and editing.
Yeah, we can. So there's a handful of things that I'm best equipped for, but then just through my experience and my network, if there's anything that I am not particularly good at, I can outsource it to someone who is really good at it. So I feel very confident and comfortable offering full service because if it's not me, we can still get the job taken care of. We can do anything that you would want. Obviously, that would affect budgets will be affected based on what you ask for. But we can really do anything. My website is currently being redesigned. So me and the designer she has sent me some stuff today. But we're restructuring that just so it's a little more user-friendly. Before that, it was sort of not being kept up properly just because most of the work has come to me through word of mouth and not through the website, but we still need a website.
Indeed. And it's a lot of like, I've seen some of your works on Vimeo and stuff like that. And man, it's like great quality films.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yeah, a lot of the narrative stuff is on. Actually, I would say most of my narrative stuff is on Vimeo. Not too much of my my commercial work is on there. Mostly because the companies that I've worked with aren't real keen on letting me just air stuff that they had paid for. So I can say who I've worked for, but I can't, unfortunately, unless without permission, I really can't share what I've worked for, what I've done for companies. Some of it does still exist online, so I can like point you to it and be like, oh, I did that thing at that website. Go there and look at it. But unfortunately, I can't share too much of it on my site or on my pages. But yeah, it still works from some great companies though.
Indeed. And speaking of companies and commercials, there was like Ford Motor Company, Hyundai, Honda, and the Food Network. Those are pretty neat. How did you get involved with all those companies?
So with the automotive companies, I worked for a group here in town that does automotive advertising, and it's not like advertising, like television advertising you would see like during a Jaguar game. It's not like local commercials. We did some bigger stuff. So through that company and its connections with dealerships and with brands, I got contracted out to do more industrial internal videos for Ford and for Hyundai and for Honda. And for, I didn't mention this one, but Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram. So I did some internal stuff for them. It wasn't stuff that really went on television, but it was stuff that went on their website and was more for internal marketing. And then Food Network is who actually, technically who I work for. I'm a contract worker for them currently. So I edit a social show called Taste Test. So it's on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. If you look up Taste Test, I probably edited that video.
Indeed. I'm still trying to get used to this camera thing because I'm not sure that
like for you, for me, you're right here, like you're right here. But then I know if I look here, I'm looking you in the eye. So I'm kind of going back and forth. So yeah, same thing.
I'll do the same with you then because I'm just like, where do I look?
Oh, good man. Yeah, no, all of us who've ever done FaceTime or Skype, we all know how the process. No one's ever looking each other in the eye. We're always looking at someone else, or we think we're looking in the eye, but we're not looking each other in the eye. Now I am. Now I'm gonna look at you guys. I'm looking at all of you watching and listening to us. I'm looking at you right now. I can see you. Thank you for watching.
Indeed. I'll just start staring at the webcam now because I'm like,
perfect.
I'm so used to like doing in-person like interviews.
Oh, sure.
Like man on the street kind of thing.
Harder to do that now. So hard to do that.
Indeed, especially during these times. I'm like, oh man, it was so much easier back in the day.
Yeah, it was pre-COVID. PC.
Indeed, PC.
Before COVID.
Oh man, how did you link up with the Food Network?
So while I was at that advertising agency, the automotive agency, I was working there with a buddy of mine. He was the co-writer on the feature film that we had done back in 2012. And he ended up leaving and going up to New York, hustling, got some jobs, some freelance gigs working for Food Network. And what happened was they really liked his stuff. They had a producer job open up. They hired him to be a producer, and they're like, hey, listen, we're hiring you to be a producer, but you can no longer be an editor, so you need to hire an editor. And he was like, I got a guy. So he called me up, and I was like, yeah, man, I'll take that. So I got hired by them about 5 years ago, and I've been editing videos for Food Network Social for about 5 years.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great gig. It's really, I'm so grateful that I have that job. I can work from home. They give me full-time hours. It's tremendous. I'm really fortunate and very grateful to have that job.
Man, and you're an award-winning short film. Films have been in Fantastic Fest, Sitges, Bifan, I believe that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah, I'm not positive. It's either Bifan or Bifan. It's in South Korea. It's a tremendous genre festival, but I am also unsure how to pronounce it.
Indeed, that's pretty rad. And Nashville's too. And how do you like find out about all these festivals, and how did you just submit and all that good stuff?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I just want to make sure I clarify with the Fantastic Fest. That film was directed by Franklin Rich, so I came on sort of later in the process of that one, helped to find a home. So that one, though I'm very proud and happy, I love that film, proud of that film, so grateful that it played at Fantastic Fest. That one really does sit more on the shoulders of Franklin than myself. The other festivals were festivals that my films that I had directed played at. So let's make sure there's some clarity that we also know where I was and wasn't really involved. But as far as finding festivals, I've been involved in so I went to film school at Florida State, good couple years ago. And festivals were harder to find then because the internet was still kind of new as far as it being a ubiquitous thing. YouTube started the year I graduated. So that's how long ago I was in film school, but also how the internet's changed in the last, 14 years. So as far as film festivals, I, for a long time, was using a site called withoutofbox.com. Now that site has actually closed, was owned by Amazon, but that site's, I think, officially closed now. And a new site has come up called Film Freeway. And if you're a filmmaker, it's a tremendous website. It's free to sign up. You can it's really easy to put your films up there, and then you can do searches based on certain criteria. If you have a horror movie, you can search just horror movies. If you have faith-based film, you can search just based on faith-based. Whatever the scenario is, you can sort of dial in on your festivals. So I've spent a good amount of time now between a short film called Nora that I did before my feature film, and then my feature film, and then films subsequently after that. I spent a lot of time just researching and submitting and getting rejected from a lot of film festivals. So over time, and just some money spent on the process, I've gotten better at identifying where I want to be and how I want to get there. Of course, you can also just Google. When I did a horror short is what I want to say. I did a horror short, and I just did some quick Googles and some searches on what are the best horror film festivals, and then I had some other friends who had been in horror festivals, and just started like finding where the big ones were, but then also finding smaller ones that are more regional things that are I think my short film The Itch played in Atlanta, I think 3 times at different festivals, played in Boston 2 times. Boston's not so much regional, but that was just kind of cool. So I did kind of put a focus on just where I was locally, just knowing that film festivals like the idea that you might be able to show up in a B&B at the festival. So I know as a programmer, that's an alluring thing. If I think you're going to come, that makes me more inclined to accept you. So it was a bit of, that's kind of my strategy with that particular film, is just finding large festivals and regional festivals and sort of smaller up and coming ones. So as far as learning about film festivals, it's just a process, and just take some time and you research and you try and you just throw the darts, and then do as much as you can to make your dart fly straight. So yeah, I hope that answers the question, but that is the process of learning about film festivals for me.
Awesome. And you did some full-length features, like Best Feature at like the Berlin Independent Film Festival and the Indie Spirit.
And New Hope. Yeah, that was my debut feature film was called The Lengths, and we started filming that in 2012, and actually we finished post-production on that in 2014. So it took a while to wrap that movie up. It was pretty ambitious. And its first festival was New Hope, and we won an Audience Choice Award and the Indie Spirit Award at that festival. And that festival was right outside of Philadelphia. The Lengths didn't really hit the major festivals that I was kind of hoping for. It was a good learning experience, that movie, just as far as where you're going to go, what the quality of work that's expected at some of the major festivals. And I'm proud of The Lengths. It's got some really great stuff. It's got stuff that I would definitely change. But I also realized that I need to up my game if I want to make it into those major ones. But we did get into this festival called the Berlin Independent Film Festival, and we were very fortunate to receive the Best Feature Film at that festival. And that movie, The Lengths, is now available. The Lengths, I should be very clear, it's The Lengths, like a distance. Actually, in fact, there's the poster. I didn't mean to plug that, have it there. It's just it's there. So yeah, that movie is now available on Amazon Prime for free. Well, it's free on Amazon Prime. You can stream it off of iTunes, or I think any major streaming platform. You can watch the movie. And like I said, there's some good stuff in it. And there's some stuff that's sort of very independent. But yeah, that was the first one. And then this past, I guess that's almost a year ago, I produced Franklin's debut feature films. I know you talked to Franklin, I think last week, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm sure you guys talked about Teardrop Goodbye with mandatory directorial commentary from Remy Van Trout.
Yep.
I think Franklin wrote that thing in a heartbeat, and then we filmed it in the second heartbeat, and then it was done by November. So I think he and I had our first conversation in April, and there was almost no pages written, and we had it wrapped in November. So it was a quick write, shoot, finish. And it's a really fun, very bizarre, but again, really fun journey of a movie. And it's currently out it's been submitted to festivals. We've heard back from a few, and unfortunately haven't got into where we wanted to yet. I think COVID is certainly having a negative effect on what is and isn't getting accepted. I don't know if that affects us or not directly. I have no idea. But for the most part, most of the festivals we applied to, we'll start hearing back from them in the near future. And in some ways, because of festivals having to have closed and a lot of production having to have shut down, it's almost a good thing for us that we haven't been accepted anywhere major yet, or anywhere period yet, because we can sort of reapply this coming year. And there's probably, just as far as a numbers game, there's going to be less movies have been made in 2020. So less things are going to be submitted. So just our odds go up for everything here on out, which is kind of great. I obviously I want our movie to be accepted on merit, but I don't have a problem with there being less competition either. So yeah, so hopefully we'll hear some good news from about that movie soon. It's a strange movie, and I know it's not gonna be for everybody. But I know wherever it plays is gonna kill. We had to do a private screening here in Jacksonville at the Jacksonville Film Festival last year in November. And it was just a tremendous turnout, and a tremendous response from the audience. So I know that people who like watching movies are going to really enjoy Teardrop Goodbye. Just hoping that there's a programmer who's ready to take that risk.
Indeed, I remember talking to Franklin how we joked how lengthy the title was, and
so it is the title is long. It takes longer to say the title than it did to make the movie. That's how long the title is.
Yep. Speaking of the length, so lengthy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Speaking of the lengths, it's a lengthy title. Well done. Well done.
Thank you. Man, there's a lot of films that you have on your Vimeo, like Dumbstruck and The Itch and The Lengths and Still Life. There's so many on YouTube too, like the Stay Classic.
YouTube's got. I didn't share the YouTube link because that is the old stuff. Now, if you find either me or Moses Von Holland on YouTube and you go and watch the old sketch stuff, good on you. Good on you, but it's old and it's dated, and I don't know if all of it aged well. Certainly, there's some parts of The Length that really didn't age well, and I'm a little cringeworthy now. But yeah, I try to be as prolific as possible. I feel like, specifically with short films, like the more you make, the better you're gonna get. And I just constantly want to get better. I mean, The Length was a great experience, but it was also extraordinarily exhausting and it was very expensive. And the downside of a feature film, at least with mine, Franklin did it so fast. He can pivot and figure out what he did right and what he did wrong a little faster. Mine took so long to get made or finished that by the time I was done, I was sort of a different person, and it was harder for that movie to reflect who I was by the time I finished. So what I like about short films is that I can do something, see if it worked, see what didn't work, and then immediately go to the next one. And I can get 4 to 6 short films done in a year, where it takes like 2 years for me to get a feature length done. So it's just easier for me to pivot and get better at what it is I want to say and how I want to say it. That's part of my journey. So I do have a good amount of films on Vimeo, and if you start at the beginning and go to the most recent, you can see a real progression of work.
Indeed. What was the production like on Dumbstruck?
Dumbstruck, that was actually a really cool production. So it was pretty small. It was is a music video that I did for my brother. I brought in my friend Austin to be cinematographer. She had shot The Lengths, and we really wanted to do that with her just because I love her. I think she's tremendous. And so the production was, I think we did 2 or 3 days. And then I think a crew of maybe 5 people, a couple people, Andrew Fallon, who's a local producer and filmmaker and director. He helped out on one of the days. And then William Bishop, he helped out on, maybe it was just 2 days, maybe just been 2 days. It was 2 or 3 days. I don't remember now. But he helped out all the days. And I think that was pretty much our crew. It was Austin, me, William for all the days, and my brother, and we kept it pretty small and tried to do it kind of guerrilla. But there's not too many stories as far as how it went. We just guerrilled it, and it came out really well. I'm really proud of that movie. It is a very subtextual movie, so I understand. It's very personal to me, and there's stuff in there the imagery is very important and impactful to me and my brother specifically. It's not for everybody, and that's fine. We made it for us. And I really love that movie. It's one of my favorite things I've done.
Indeed, having a small crew and going guerrilla style reminded me of Robert Rodriguez's book.
Oh yeah,
Rebel Without a Crew.
Yeah, it's a great book.
Yeah, I agree. Like the 10-minute film school at the end is awesome, and the thing that he went through just to get his film made was just wow.
And it's like how you gotta do it. I mean, I like and appreciate larger crews where you can really delegate all the responsibilities out to certain people and get other eyes on the movie and get other input. I think it's tremendous. And sometimes you just gotta do it, you and a buddy, and make it happen. So.
Indeed, absolutely. And what were some interesting stories behind The Itch, like set wise and all that good stuff?
Oh yeah, so yeah, The Itch was a lot of fun. So The Itch, there was a lot of that's so good behind the scenes stuff. So the premise of the movie, for those who haven't seen it, maybe don't want to watch it, because first of all, The Itch is a very, very gross movie. It's about 5.5 minutes long, maybe 6 minutes long. It is gory. It is gory and intentionally gory. It is not scary whatsoever, but it is very gross. So the premise is that there's a man and his wife are out having a picnic, and the man gets bit by a mosquito and will not stop itching his arm until he digs a hole through it. because he wants to get the itch to stop, the itching to stop. So he literally just starts and then just digs a hole through his arm, and it's gruesome. I mean, he rips out bone. He rips out, sorry, not bone. The bone stays in. He rips out muscle. He's ripping out tendon. He's got blood squirting into his face, blood running down his arm. He actually takes a bite out of his arm and rips a chunk out. And eventually, he literally puts his hand through his arm. So that's what happens in the movie. So if you want to see that happen, go and watch it. And so one of the fun things we did, we hired Hillary Warren and Brad Shire to do the special effects, and they're just tremendous. They're amazing makeup and effects team. And we did a prosthetic mold of David McMahon, who was the lead actor. We did a prosthetic mold of his arm, and yeah, we just had a great time just going at it and getting a lot of blood in there. Again, that was a pretty small crew, and we did that in a park in Mandarin. There were some fun times because it's a park, and in the background is a playground, so there's like kids and stuff running around. And towards the end, we have this guy, blood everywhere, screaming, ripping, biting and pulling muscle and tendons out of his arm, and his people in the background are just watching, like, just horrified. And we did get some warnings. You're like, hey, listen, he's gonna scream, try to be cool. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. We did that all in one day. We shot that whole thing in one day. Great crew, great team on that one. Again, pretty small. I was the cinematographer on that one. I just say technically it was more than one day. We shot all the main stuff on one day, and then I went out by myself and shot some B-roll for the front of the movie and for the for the front of the movie. But starting off a lot of like crazy stories in that one, but the prosthetic mold was really cool. I know Brad and Hillary still have that arm, and we used it. I think we used that arm. That arm made an appearance, I think, in Teardrop Goodbye. I know when they used to do haunted houses and like design haunted houses, that arm would always pop up. So that fist has been around in quite a few movies, but it looked crazy real, because not just it was a prosthetic mold. I mean, they painted it. They put little hairs on the arm, like it. It looks very real. I had a friend watch it, and I didn't warn him about what was in the movie, and he said he passed out watching it. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry I didn't tell you what was going to happen. I think he has a thing for blood, so not everyone's going to pass out, but it's gross. It's very gross.
And it's pretty awesome that you get to keep props and like recycle them and reuse them.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely.
And the links, the movie poster, and what was the concept behind the design and all that good stuff?
Yeah, so the concept behind this, so the premise of the movie is it's a road trip movie. Not particularly groundbreaking, but it's one lovesick man traveling across the country with his dirtbag friend to stop his ex-girlfriend's wedding. So that's sort of the general premise. So the poster, that particular image, the poster you'll see on Instagram on Amazon is not this image. We made this one. This is the one that we prefer. But the company we sold the movie to changed it, and that's their prerogative. But this design in particular, so that's a picture of the van that we bought to make the movie for. It was a 1978 Dodge Journeyman. I'm forgetting the name now. Excuse me. But it's an old, very dirty, creepy van, and so that's just the back of the van, and we did the van itself is such a character in the movie. Like it never really breaks down in the movie, but it is a van that the friend lives in, because it's evicted from his apartment. So it's just full of weird odds and ends. And it's the vehicle that takes them from, point A to point B, both physically, but it's also the thing that carries them emotionally on their journey. As they have, it's very much a sort of coming of age, self-discovery kind of movie, and the value of, if you will, the value of friendship, and the value of understanding what it is that makes you happy. And sometimes that is getting rid of the things you are pursuing that you think will make you happy. So, it's about people trying not to self-sabotage themselves.
Indeed. What are your favorite coming of age movies? Like for me, I love Stand By Me, but
Stand By You. Actually, I have never seen Stand By Me. That's one of those like ashamed to say I've never seen Stand By Me. It's terrible. I have no good excuse. It's not that I don't want to see it. It just hasn't happened for me. But I am familiar with it, and I believe, from what I understand about the movie, a great choice. But yeah, to answer your question, favorite coming of age movies. I mean, I love. I'm gonna draw a blank on it. It was a Sundance movie not too long ago. Kings of Summer. Kings of Summer was a Sundance movie a couple years ago that I thought was terrific. It's got drawing blank on everybody's names today. Ron Swanson's in it. From Parks and Rec. His name, Nick Offerman. Nick Offerman is in that, and it's about his kid and two other kids in that movie. So yeah, Kings of Summer I think is terrific. Little Miss Sunshine I think is very much a coming of age story for certain people, and I think Little Miss Sunshine is probably emotionally the closest to the lengths. Yeah, I love getting asked these questions and then having to think about it and just drawing blanks on everything that I like. Because I used to watch a lot of coming of age stories. The movie Boy, Taika Waititi's Boy, I think is tremendous. That's a great coming of age story. So I would say right now those are some of my favorites. But there are others that we could talk about and someone will bring up, and I'll go, yeah, no, also those are terrific.
Indeed. And how did the Stay Classy Digital Spirits come about?
That's a good question. So early in my time at Food Network, they were trying to figure out what kind of shows they wanted to put on Snapchat specifically, because that's how we launched, was through Snapchat. And initially we were just repurposing like segments of the traditional television stuff. So like a Bobby Flay show, he's got three recipes in one show. We'd take one, chop it up, try to put it on Snapchat for like 2 minutes. So that was the initial thing we were doing. And I'm trying to think of other shows to have on the show on the channel, and I had pitched like a cocktail show just because I love amateur bartender, love mixed drinks, sort of my go-to. I pitched this idea to them, and they just weren't interested. And understandably, especially at the time, Snapchat was for a younger audience, and you got to be 21 to drink. So I was like, well, okay, well if they didn't like the idea and the pitch, I was like, what if I just go and make it myself? And then try to pitch it again. So I just started making those cocktail videos. I thought Stay Classy was just a fun name. And initially I was trying to be like really classy about it, like really like, yeah, jazz, smooth. I know what I'm doing. But the thing is, I'm an amateur and I don't know what I'm doing, and I screw up and I'm really goofy. So Stay Classy ended up being a little bit more of a paradoxical kind of name. And I pitched it again. I tried to share the videos with the Food Network and said again, hey, do you want to do this? They're like, no, we still don't want to do it. It's like, all right, fine. So I went and made 100 of them. I think it's close to 100 cocktail videos. And they're all on my Instagram. I don't do that anymore. I kind of just got burnt down on it. It just was a lot of work and a lot of effort. And I wanted to make sure I was putting some effort and energy into other aspects of filmmaking. But that's how it came about. Just something that I was interested in, and it was a way to just jumpstart making things. I definitely believe in like going out and just making. And I wasn't really at that time yet doing a lot of short films. I wasn't as connected to the local community as I am now. So it's a little easier to get stuff going. And that was something I knew I could do by myself, and I didn't need anybody else, and I could just make it happen. I could on a Tuesday go, okay, I got my work for Food Network done. I'm going to go make these videos, knock out 4 of them, edit them over a week or over a couple of days really. And then I have 4 videos for a month. I could, one a week. And that was really the reason why I decided to make that once, the pitch wasn't picked up.
Indeed. And you got some upcoming ones coming up, like I Am the Wolf and
The
Range.
Yes. The I Am the Wolf and The Range are both projects that I'm really excited about. Those are things that are, I guess somewhere between development and pre-production. My friend Adam wrote both of those films, and both of them have done really well screenplay-wise at competitions. And so I've been putting together pitch packets and trying to pitch those and build them out and trying to see if there's a way. I'd rather not do it myself. I'd rather get proper financing for both those films. But right now it's just a matter of putting together the package. So I've been working with a producer who's done some really pretty awesome things. She's had movies that have been in Sundance and been at South by Southwest. So she's been really helping me out and mentoring me as far as building the packet. And then hopefully that will start leading to some other opportunities. But right now it's a lot of boring foundational work on both those films. So there's not too much to say about them at the moment, unfortunately. But I Am the Wolf in particular, it's a movie I would make if no one saw it. I wouldn't care because it's a movie that I just feel that passionately about, that if no one ever saw the movie, I would still think it worth it to have made it.
Absolutely. Those passion projects are some of the best, to be honest.
Yeah. For sure.
Indeed. And so you've also made some music videos for AF the Naysayer, I believe that's how you call it.
That is how you say it. He's, if you're familiar with his music, he does a lot of like electronica kind of jazz fusion stuff. He's out of Louisiana, and I met him on a short film. We both were working on a short film together out in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and we just hit it off. He's a great dude. He actually gave me one of his songs for the lengths, And yeah, I've made two videos for him, I believe. Just two videos for him. But he's a great dude, and I've really enjoyed working with him because he gives me a lot of freedom as far as like try stuff. And the first one I think with the Amber, the dancer, I just said, hey, I want to do this concept, and can I use your song? And he's like, yeah, man, do it. And that was great. And the second time he had an idea that he wanted me to, it was homaging somebody else that he knew, with the You Are Love video, which I think is, I love that. And it stars a guy named Zeus, who is tremendous. He's now joined the military. So he's out of Jacksonville, but he's a tremendous actor and a great dude, and was awesome to work with. So those are both really fun videos. That first video with the dance, that was fun because I was trying something I'd never done before on a visual effects side of things, and it was tedious, but some of it comes out really cool. Some of it's still kind of a little clunky, but some of it's really, really cool, and I'm really, really happy and proud of how some of those techniques came out.
It's pretty neat how he can fuse those two genres together.
Yeah, no, he's a talented guy. His music is fun, super chill, like. Yeah, you can get in a groove just listening to his stuff. It's certainly flow kind of music. If you need something to listen to while you're working on the computer, that's like, you don't really like. Yeah, just he's gonna help you get in the zone. AF the Naysayer, that's the guy for sure.
Indeed, and you've also made some music video for Karen Hornsby, the country music.
Yes, yeah, we did. Yeah, so those are some older stuff. Yeah, Karen's awesome. She's a faith-based country singer, and she had hired one of the guys who was part of the sketch comedy group back in the day, and he hired me to come out. So I produced one of the music videos. My friend Andrew directed the other one, and then he produced one that I directed, and we both kind of co-directed a third one, and both produced a third one. So we kind of got to share all the responsibilities. But yeah, working with Karen was awesome. She's just an amazing human being, and I'm not country music is necessarily my first choice in music, but I think I do like her stuff, and she's got at the very least she's got really good storytelling in her music, and I like that. It makes it really fun and interesting as far as how to craft a story around the story she's trying to tell in her music. So yeah, I'm really happy with how those came out. Those are some of like a really big, those music videos are like a real first step into higher production quality, for at least for me in my journey.
Indeed, and you're also a podcast podcaster for the Central Culture Podcast Network.
That is
the co-creator and producer of it.
Yes, so that started with that is unfortunately on hiatus right now, and I'm not sure the state of where that's going to be in the future. But how it started, and you can still listen to everything if you want to check it out. But the way it started is there's a gentleman who's his name is Jamario Stills. He's not in Jacksonville right now. He's actually at Brown getting his master's in theater direction. But when he was in Jacksonville, he had gone to Juilliard as an actor prior, came back to Jacksonville, and he was running the Phase 8 Theater Company and started the Phase 8 Theater Company. And I was just doing some peripheral work for him, doing some advertising stuff. And I was actually in one of the plays. But we were just talking, and I had said something sort of casually like, I think it'd be kind of fun to like have a podcast network. Kind of like I was like really hard into like the Nerdist podcast family at the time. And I was like, yeah, this seems like just like a good gig. Like we got a lot of fun, man. I like talking to people, and I like talking clearly. And I just sort of casually mentioned that to him, and then I think like a couple weeks later, he calls me up. He's like, "Hey man, I want to meet up with you about this podcasting network thing." And I was like, oh, "Okay," because I was kind of saying it casually, like I had no immediate plans. And so I met up with him, and he's like, "Listen, okay, I got 5 shows, and I want you to produce them." And I was like, five shows. And so he had gone out and found a bunch of different people, all sorts of different backgrounds, to create shows that had very specific points of view about local art and entrepreneurs. So we had a show again, I'm gonna draw a blank on all the names, and my computer is starting to die, so I'm gonna plug this in real fast. Now my computer is no longer gonna die. All right. So Madeline Peck Wagner. I want to say she's gonna hate me if she sees this and watches. She's gonna be mad at me for forgetting the name. But Madeline Peck Wagner is a local artist, and she also used to write for Folio. And so we had a show. I produced her show where we talked to a lot of artists who came in through the Long Roads Project. So the Long Roads Project brings in artists from out of town and lets them sort of set up shop in Jacksonville for a couple months at a time and make some piece of art. So we would have these international artists who were big time. And for me, I'm not as familiar with that scene, but looking them up, I found out we had some like huge artist names come in town, and it's talked about the process. And so it was a very NPR type of show, but it was really cool just hearing about these artists who did a lot, like working with fabrics, working with metals, working with all sorts of working with junk and assembling it together. We had some really cool people. And then Tony Hernandez had a show about entrepreneurs and women specifically. And so they were all local Jacksonville entrepreneurs. And so that was also a tremendous show, getting an insight on some women that I was unfamiliar with and just the work that they had done. So I remember all the shows. Dustin Harwood, also a local artist, and he teaches at UNF. He would come in, and so he was really into like the underground art scene, underground streetwear scene. So he knew a lot of these young kids who were up and coming, and we saw some really cool stuff through him. And again, you can list all this. So we haven't made a new show in quite a while, almost a year now, but all the shows that we did, and we did 75 total episodes across all five shows. And I had one show that had a handful of interviews on it, but I think we did 75 plus shows, and it's all available on the Essential Culture Podcast Network. So you can find that on iTunes, also on SoundCloud if you want to check it out. But there's some really great stuff in there. Again, work that we're really proud of. We had a partnership with WJCT, 89.9. And so after we had done a lot of our podcast recordings, they actually asked us to repurpose many of those interviews for a radio show. So for about 2 seasons, we did about 26 episodes of radio for them. So yeah, I mean, we had some really good stuff, and it was really great because we got to highlight some Jacksonville artists and entrepreneurs and people that I think I certainly was unaware of, and I think a lot of people weren't aware of. But we were really growing that audience pretty effectively. We did the first year, on no money, and it just got to a point where that just wasn't sustainable, and just unfortunately weren't able to get the sponsorship we needed. And then, Jamario moved too, and just became a thing where I couldn't handle my one side of it, and then our other partner was like, I got my part of this. So it was one of those things where we needed all three of us, and Jamario needed to go. I mean, he needed to go get his master's at Brown. Like, that was a huge opportunity. He had like a full ride. He needed to go do that. So it's not like a hard feelings thing. It's just circumstance, and so yeah, it just sort of dissolved, from there, unfortunately. But yeah, it was fun and cool while it lasted. I learned a lot about podcasting, and it was very much interview based podcasting. It was still a ton of fun. Met a lot of great people, and it was a great way to connect and network. And if you like any of the things that I said, then you should check it out. Essential Culture Podcast Network. I also interviewed a handful of very, very independent filmmakers that I met at various festivals who had some really great stuff that had been at some major festivals, South by Southwest, Sundance, etc. And I interviewed them ahead of the inaugural Jacksonville Film Festival, or the re-inaugural Jacksonville Film Festival, because it was gone for 5 years and it came back. And when it came back, I interviewed some filmmakers. So that was fun for me. I enjoyed it. I don't know if anyone else is going to, but I had a great time.
Indeed. When it comes to like podcasts and films, like teamwork makes the dream work, And
yeah, no, for sure. Yeah.
It takes an army for sure. It takes a village. Absolutely.
It does, yeah. We had some great help. I will say, I just want to shout out to my buddy Brock Moore. He came out early on, and so I think when we had 5 or 6 shows, he was handling half of them for about 9 months. He was taking care of half that work for me. And I couldn't have done it. If he hadn't helped out. So shout out to Brock Moore, because he was a tremendous producer. Did a great job.
Indeed, Brock's like multi-talented. I met him during my stand-up days in Jacksonville.
Oh, right on. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because I know he was involved in a lot of the comedy scene for a while. I'm not sure, he might still be, but I knew he was. And I love Brock. Brock was an editor on a short film that I did that we're still kind of doing some reshoots on. Well, we're going to do some reshoots, and then COVID hit, and now we just had to wait 4 months. But no, Brock and I are writing something together. I love Brock. He's tremendous.
Absolutely. And so you're the de facto head of the Jacksonville Film Bar. How did that all happen?
Yeah, I say de facto head because I just talk the most, which anyone watching this is not going to be surprised that I talk the most. So how it happened, technically the Film Bar, that concept comes out of Atlanta. So before Atlanta exploded with the film work, and it was just starting to get some of that work in there. A lot of the locals just trying to connect and network and create a little society, started meeting every Monday at a different bar around Atlanta. So first Monday of the month, they meet this neighborhood, next Monday, another neighborhood, etc. And so that ended up being pretty successful for the Atlanta filmmakers and able to help them grow a network and stay connected. And initially I had heard that they wanted to bring it to Jacksonville, and I put my name in the ring to say, hey, I want to help with this. And then it didn't happen. And then it ended up going to Tampa. I don't know how I got to Tampa or why I went to Tampa instead of here, but that's what happened. And then while I was in Tampa, Laura Blair, who is from Jacksonville, she's a producer who's from Jacksonville. She was living and working in Tampa, and she heard about it and was part of that initial startup in Tampa. But then she moved back to Jacksonville, and when she moved back to Jacksonville, she's like, "I'm going to take this with me." So she brought up to Jacksonville, reached out again. I think it was probably through City Jacks on Facebook that I had heard about someone wanting a host for one of the Mondays. And I was like, I definitely want to do this. I want to meet local filmmakers. I really don't know anybody. So that's initially how it started. So I think Laura hosted 2 of the Mondays, and then I was hosting one, and then Basil Jada was hosting the 4th one. And so from there, that's just how it initially started. And then Laura was eventually able to hand off the 2 that she was hosting to other people. Because again, she's moved on to working in Orlando because there's more work there. But that's how it started. That's how it formed initially, was just through Laura and then finding the 4 heads. But when she moved to Atlanta, we kind of needed someone to sort of just take the reins of being like, well, who's going to just facilitate? So I kind of jumped in because I was just having fun and enjoying it, and I'm pretty vocal and risk averse, and just said, yeah, sure, I'll facilitate. And also because I'm an arrogant dick and thought that I could just handle it all. So I started with that, and then the film bar. The thing that I'm really proud about the film bar, and you didn't ask this, but I'm gonna say it now that we're plugging it. The thing that our film bar has evolved beyond what Atlanta and Tampa do, and I mean that, and I'm very proud of that, and love that happened. But I remember one of the days at the film bar that I was hosting at Wicked Barley. One of our writers and Basil were talking, and Basil had said, you can't have a good movie without a good screenplay. And the irony was he was talking to a writer, and he presumed the writer was going to agree with him. And the writer said, well, have you heard of an A-B scene? And if you aren't familiar, an A-B scene is a script that has no settings. So there's no slug line, no location. There's no action in the script. It's just character A and character B, and they each have dialogue, but their dialogue is intentionally written to not match up. Does not make sense on the page. And it's usually like maybe 2 pages, and it's a directing challenge that you give the directors. You say, make something logical and cohesive out of what is meant to not be logical or cohesive, and it's just a nice exercise on how to build a scene. And so our writer said, have you heard of these scenes? And Basil's like, no. And I was like, oh my god, I've heard of these. And so I told the writers, like, hey, if you can write an A-B scene, I'll just put it out to the our film community, just challenge them to say, hey, you got 6 weeks, 2 pages. Make a short film based on these 2 pages, and then we'll screen it at Bay Street Bar and Grill because they had a screen and sound and stuff. So we did. I think we had like 12 people turn in films, and of course it's the same script, but totally different movies. 12 wildly different movies off the exact same script. So from there, we just started having more challenges, and then once a quarter now we've been doing challenges, and I think our first 2 or 3 were at Bay Street, and then it's evolved to having them at Sunray and like packing out Sunray. I think that's how we met, was at one of the screenings at Sunray. And it's just an awesome experience. So we went from just these A-B scenes to one-shot challenges, 4 or 5 minute one-shot challenges. We did a thing called the 3-part challenge where one person wrote, but then they had to hand it off to a director they didn't know, and the director got the script of someone they didn't know, or they didn't know who wrote it, and then the director had to turn the footage over to an editor, and the editor got to edit something. They didn't know who directed it, so they couldn't communicate. And it was basically like a form of telephone, but for movies. And that was a great screening. We had a great time. So that's something that is unique to us. That's also something we did because it grew organically out of just hanging out with filmmakers. And I think to this point, we're 3.5 years now into the Jacksonville Film Bar, and I think we've made 86 short films, which is just awesome. I don't know how many films we're making prior to that, but there's a lot more cross-pollination. There's still some clicks. People like to work with the same people, but we've really broken a lot of that down. I had a lot more people, like, oh, I like what you did, so I'm gonna work with you now. And yeah, just really like I said, cross-pollination and people working with other people, and a lot more just creativity, and just also, you have a few people who are already pretty talented, and they got to share their work, and everyone's got to say, oh, that I need to be at that level if I'm going to be moving forward. And so there's been a lot of that sort of like, not necessarily competition, that people aren't like trying to like beat each other, but there is that raising of the bar, like the Beatles and the Beach Boys, like, oh, we made Abbey Road, we made Pet Sounds, like that kind of thing. We just got to try to be better because someone else did something really good. And I think that's brought a lot of positivity out, a lot of creativity out, and the production value of the Jacksonville filmmakers have just gone massively up. It's gone massively up. And that's just, I think everyone's gonna be really happy and proud of that. And I know everyone would agree with that. And it's because we're practicing and we're showing off the work, and people are realizing that, you know, they can figure out how to step up, and they know who to ask to get better too. So that's Film Bar is awesome. If you're in Jacksonville, if you're not in Jacksonville, come to the Film Bar on Mondays. It's awesome.
Indeed, I live like an hour away, and I always like pop up here and there at those Jacksonville film bars.
Yeah, you definitely do, for sure.
Man, it's just so awesome, and just to see like the quality of walking from the Sunray where we met was just absolutely amazing. Like,
that was a good night. It was a good. That was our last one, I think. That was our last one before COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that place was so packed. I was like, wow, this is amazing. Just the talent out of Jackson was amazing.
That was a good night, and I've been really just because when you make movies, of course, I mean, you can put it online. That's easy, but like if you're making a movie, I'll be surprised to find somebody who's like, I only ever want to share on the internet. Like, okay, that's maybe there's that guy, but most of us want it in a theater, and most of us just by the numbers aren't going to have movies in theaters, certainly not nationwide. So the fact that Sunray is willing to work with us, and we can say, hey, if you meet the challenge, you get it in on time, your movie's going to play in the theater, and 150 people, 200 people are going to watch this movie with you. That's huge. I mean, how much? It's so much fun. It's so much fun to be able to see your movie on a big screen like that. That's a ton of fun, and that's just really, I think, not to say inspired, but gotten people up, got them excited to go out and make something, just because it's gonna go somewhere, and people are gonna see it. Certainly there's more people on the internet, more people could see on the internet, but you can watch and hear and experience the reactions to your movie, and that's a pretty priceless thing.
Indeed, and I love going to like Sunray and like the Corazon Cinnamon Cafe because they're small, they're intimate, they're family owned. Yeah,
for sure. And we need to do the one in St. Augustine, the Corazon. We need to take it down there one time, because I've been doing the Sunray just because me and them, we've got a good relationship, and they're happy to take our films. I'm happy to bring them there. It's a great venue, but we need to take it down to St. Augustine. Get our St. Augustine brothers and sisters involved, and bring our stuff down to them, and then bring their stuff into our space. We need more of that cross pollination.
Absolutely, bring the whole Northeast up together.
Yeah, man. Northeast Florida. No more Jacksonville. No more St. Augustine. Just Northeast Florida.
Absolutely. And you're also a program director. I'm speaking of the Jacksonville Film Festival.
Yeah.
Like, how did that all come about?
Yeah, so that again started with somebody that wasn't me, and I just was like, I'll help. So Nikki Lagrozzi is the executive director of the Jacksonville Film Festival. So the Jacksonville Film Festival actually started in like 2001 or 2002, and ran for about 10 or 12 years, and then through reasons that I'm not super clear on, just stopped. And it was gone for like 5 years. So Nikki went out, and Nikki had been a volunteer on the film festival back when it was happening. And actually, my film Nora played at the last Jacksonville Film Festival. So Nikki had been a volunteer. So when it kind of went away, he put some money together and got a little bit older and a little more mature. And because I think he volunteered when he was 16, so some time passed before he jumped in. But he got all his ducks in a row, talked to a lot of the former board members, and then just bought the rights to the festival that were just sort of like, lying dormant. So he went and just did all that legwork. So he got everything signed over to his name. So he became the full owner of the Jacksonville Film Festival. And when I met him, when it was through the Jacksonville Film Bar, he was kind of struggling to find a location. People kind of bailing on him, and he wasn't sure what he needed to be or what he needed to do. And so we were talking, and he had some money down at a venue. And he was like, yeah, man, if we don't have this festival, I'm going to lose this money. And it was significant money. And I was like, dude, listen, I can't just, as a person who knows you, let you lose that money. Like, I can't let you do that. So I was like, hey, let's just say we're going to do it in August or September. I think we did September. I was like, we're just going to do it. You just say we're going to do it, lock down that date. I'll help you find the movies. I know filmmakers. We can use some Jacksonville filmmakers, but we will do this. We'll do it small. Like we did a Friday night and like all day Saturday. So I was like, let's just do it. Just make it happen. So that's what happened. That was in 2018. And we did it at the Jacksonville Library. It's a great venue, probably too big. The theater's probably too big for where we are right now. It's like a 400-person theater, and you have a hard time. Big festivals have a hard time filling out 400 seats. So it was a bit big. And so we had an average of 75 people per screening, which is a pretty good average for, a brand new festival. But when there's 400 seats, it looks small. But the library is a great venue. It's beautiful. It was really nice. So that was year one, and like I said, we had a pretty good turnout. And considering we charged nobody for submissions, I just reached out to filmmakers. I wrote to my friends who made movies. I was like, hey, send me your movies. send this to your friends, let them know, email me, it's free, just send me the movies. And so I think we had like 69 submissions that first year, and then we had 69 within like a month because we didn't give everybody a lot of time, and we played 19 films. And so that was sort of the beginning. And then last year we got a partnership with the San Marco Theater. It was under new ownership, and it turned out that I just happened to know those guys. Totally random. It was just totally random. We were looking for a venue. I ran into this guy in San Marco. He was like, "Hey man, I want to talk to you about film." I was like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "I own the theater now," and I was like, I didn't know that, but that's great to know now. And so, yeah, we've been working with them. So last year, 2019, we held the festival in November. So year one, we had 69 submissions. Year two, we had 472 submissions, and we played 100 films. We played 100 films over a weekend, and then we did 3 days of special events on a Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And that's when we played Teardrop Goodbye. We played another documentary that was not technically local, but local-ish. And then we did a Jacksonville film bar screening on that final Wednesday. And so the 100 movies doesn't even include those 3 days. It's 100 movies over just the weekend. And we did a Friday night, all day Saturday, all day Sunday, and it was awesome. We had a great turnout, great event. We had some really phenomenal movies. I think 3 of the movies that we played have become shorts of the week. We have one that's become a Vimeo staff pick since the festival. And those movies had been in other festivals also. They were great movies. But I'm saying this to say we played quality stuff that other people who have more credentials than me can say these were really good movies. We had films from South by Southwest. We had two of the short films that won South by Southwest short categories played at the festival. So yeah, it was awesome. And now we're trying to make year 3 happen. COVID really is it's not made us push off the festival yet, but it's certainly hampered just what we can do fundraising wise. Also just getting films in and just being able to network and talk to people has been really much more difficult because of COVID, but we're gonna make it happen. And we've had, I think, almost 300 films submitted thus far. We have another month worth of submission time left. And again, we already have some really great stuff because South by had to postpone their festival. We offered a free submission to anybody at South by who wanted to submit to us. So we already have a ton of South by movies that we're, right now we're probably, a lot of them we're probably going to play because they're really good. So yes, it's going to be some really good programming again. And the festival now will be in September 11th. Obviously COVID could affect that still, but September 11th should be the first day of the festival.
Indeed. That's a whole lot of work that you've gotten going on. That's
yes, that's true. That's the true viewing
time.
Yeah. No, yeah. The viewing time, I think 48 hours, I think right now is the viewing time that we started with. I think I've knocked down a good portion of that, but I still have I think 80% of the movie left to go. I think about 20-something% watched. Yeah.
Man, that's awesome that you have a passion for a film and just go and
I do love movies. That is true. I love watching them. I love making them. I love helping people make them. That's a real thing. That's true.
Absolutely. And so the Jacksonville Film Festival is coming up. Other stuff, any other stuff coming up, and your movies too.
Yeah. So the film festival is kind of the albatross that's coming up. I had some shorts that were going into like the development stage right when COVID hit. And then I was surprised. I didn't think about it. I was surprised. I have 3 kids. So when it hit and school got canceled and suddenly the kids were home full time, I wasn't prepared for how much that would suck my time up. And I love hanging out with my kids. There's been a lot of benefit for how much I got to spend one-on-one time with them. But it has changed what I can get done in a day. So right now it really is just a film festival. I'm kind of trying to get some of these short films back on track, but we'll see what happens. But right now, mainly is the film festival. Number of these short films. Also, I Am the Wolf. Just trying to get that package together so I can start out getting it out in front of producers, in front of investors, and try to get people interested. Because I think it's a story that should be told. So, those are the main things. Yeah.
Absolutely. And as a friendly reminder, I'm trying to raise funds for Tim's film career, so his Venmo information is on the bottom.
And there it is. Taken across right there.
Yeah, and all his socials are on there too, and where you can find him on Vimeo. So subscribe to his channel, follow him on all the socials, and mine are on there too, and my website as well. But yeah, sweet. If you go on to the YouTube and see this on YouTube, there's information on how you can also buy movies from Sunray and Corazon at this time if you can't make it down to those theaters. So
for sure,
definitely help those cats out. They're amazing. They support our dreams. And as for me, we have the Corazon 24-hour film festival coming up in June. So we got to save that. So
yes, what are the dates? Because it's almost June. It's almost June 1. Monday's June 1. When's your festival?
June 20th is when we the themes are released.
Great.
And then the submission is like the 24 hours on the 21st. So I'll be there for sure. Sweet. And then we do the screening on June 27th. So there's a submission fee of $20. But I recommend everyone to make a copy of that their movie and sell it for $20 and have everyone autograph it. So everyone makes their submission fee back.
There you go.
It ends up being like a free festival to attend. So
that's clever.
Indeed. So that for the submission, but there's like a ticket pricing on the 27th, of course. So
okay, awesome.
But it's all affordable. So hopefully,
for sure.
See you there and all that good stuff because I'm going to do my very best to help raise funds for everyone. And you,
man, you're tremendous, man. Thank you for doing this. You're awesome. This is what a cool opportunity. I really appreciate you asking me. I'm honored that you asked me. Like this is a lot of fun.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for being a part of it and all that good stuff. And thank you for joining me on the Saturday Night Cenobites. And it's been fun so far. And I'm looking forward to putting Jacksonville on the map while I'm here.
Yes, please. Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that. Awesome. I just want to warn people, if you follow me on Twitter, I am more vocal politically on Twitter. So if you don't care about what I might say, just skip that one. I'm not political on Instagram. Just want to warn people because some people get upset, and that's fine. We don't have to agree, but if we can just avoid being mad at each other, let's do that.
Indeed, I just throw my random thoughts out there, and it caught wind from Lloyd Kaufman from Trauma. So,
oh wow, okay.
Yeah, we've been interacting for like the past 2 days. So
that's great, man. That's awesome.
It's pretty neat. I didn't know how cool Twitter can be, but then that just happened. So I'm like,
Twitter can be very cool and it can be very ugly. It depends on where you play. It depends on where you play. But I've had mostly very positive experiences. Just I feel like I just should warn people that I'm going to share some of my thoughts out there.
Absolutely. Indeed. And so that's what the cool thing a bit is about Twitter and all that stuff. You just throw it out there and see what hits.
See what happens. For sure. For sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tim, for joining me. And
yes, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Until next week, we'll be back on Saturday night with another guest, Claire, I believe. So
yeah. Very good.
Dive into her film career. So we'll see.
It sounds great, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Tim. And I'll see you at the Jacksonville Film Bar.
Yeah. Eventually, hopefully soon. Hopefully soon we can get it all opened up. Thank you guys so much for watching. Y'all take care.
Awesome. Take care, guys. Awesome.